Today, we're diving deep into a major economic shockwave, a modern trade war. Now, while the scenario we're looking at is a hypothetical one, the analysis of what happens next is very, very real. We're talking about ripples that could affect borders, businesses, and even your own wallet.
And right off the bat, let's be clear, this isn't some minor disagreement. This quote really puts it into perspective. Analysts are comparing this to the infamous Smoot-Hawley tariffs of the 1930s, which many economists say actually made the Great Depression worse. Yeah, that's the level of historical significance we're talking about here.
And this chart, it really paints a picture. Just look at that spike. The average U.S. tariff rate, which has been hovering around 3%, just skyrockets to nearly 11%. That's a level we haven't seen since the 1940s. This isn't just tweaking policy. It's a fundamental challenge to the whole idea of low-friction global trade that we've lived with for decades.
Okay, so we've established the what, a huge economic shock. But the big question is, how did we even get here? To get that, we need to look at the political thinking behind it all and the specific events that lit the fuse.
So at the very heart of all this is an approach you might call transactional diplomacy. Basically, it frames global politics not as a web of alliances, but as a series of business deals. It's less about long-term relationships and more about who's got the leverage to win this specific negotiation right now. In this world, every deal has a winner and a loser.
And you know, sometimes the biggest conflicts can start with the most unexpected spark. In this case, the trigger was apparently a $75 million ad campaign from the Ontario government. And get this, the ads used quotes from Ronald Reagan, of all people, a Republican icon, arguing against tariffs. Well, that was reportedly seen as a direct jab, and it led to a complete breakdown in trade talks.
And after those talks fell apart, things just exploded. I mean, look at this timeline. It all happened with stunning speed, within a single month. It was a rapid-fire, tit-for-tat exchange. Retaliation was met with more retaliation, and suddenly billions and billions of dollars in trade were caught in the crossfire as a simple dispute spiraled into an all-out trade war.
So the political fuse has been lit, the tariffs are in place, what happens next? Well, what we see is a domino effect, a cascade of economic consequences that start hitting businesses, workers, and consumers, and hitting them hard.
Let's just start with one number. A really big, really stark number. 106,000. That's the number of jobs forecasted to be lost in Ontario alone by 2026. This isn't just some abstract statistic. That's 106,000 people and their families facing unemployment because of this shock.
In this chart, this is what's so powerful. It visually shows you what those 106,000 lost jobs really look like. You can see the two paths pretty clearly. The dark line, that's the path the economy was on. The light blue one, that's the new reality with the tariffs. It's just a complete and devastating split.
And look, the pain doesn't stop with jobs. Look at these two charts. On the left, you've got the whole province's economic engine, its GDP, just taking a nosedive. And on the right, you see businesses slamming the brakes on investment. And when businesses get scared and stop investing, that creates economic damage that can last for years.
So let's just recap the damage report here. We're looking at a $21 billion hole in Ontario's economy, an $11 billion drop in business investment, and to top it all off, everyone feels it at the checkout because consumer prices are going up. And because of its really tight trade links with the U.S., Ontario basically becomes ground zero for this economic earthquake in Canada.
So we've seen the big picture damage, but who's really on the front line here? Which parts of the economy are getting hit the hardest?
Okay, no big surprise here, right? The manufacturing sector gets hammered. This chart breaks it down. Steel, machinery, chemicals, all these industries with deep supply chains that are super reliant on exporting to the U.S., they are right in the firing line. It's a direct and, frankly, a predictable hit.
But this is where the story takes a really fascinating turn. When you look at the sheer dollar amount of the damage, the industry that loses the most is, wait for it, construction. Over $2 billion. But hold on. Construction is a domestic business, right? They don't export buildings. This is a classic knock-on effect. As business confidence collapses and investment dries up, all those plans for new factories, new offices, and new infrastructure, they just get put on ice. The pain ripples outward.
And I really want to stress this point. This pain is not a one-way street. While Canada is staring down a potential recession, the U.S. economy doesn't get away clean. It's also facing slower growth, higher prices, and big risks to its own manufacturing base. The bottom line? There really are no clear winners when this kind of thing happens.
Okay, so things look pretty bleak, right? The natural question then is, can anything actually be done about it? Is there some kind of economic lifeline to cushion the blow?
So with the economy in a nosedive, what's the move? Well, economists modeled one potential answer, a big government stimulus package, one designed specifically to counteract the damage from the trade war.
And here's the breakdown of that plan. It's a $17.2 billion injection over 5 years. As you can see, the lion's share, over 3/4 of it, is going into municipal infrastructure. Think roads, transit, water systems, the stuff that makes our cities work. The other chunk is aimed at social housing.
And this chart is the payoff. It shows you exactly what that stimulus could do. The dark blue bars show the economic damage from the tariffs alone. The light blue bars, that's what happens when you add the stimulus. In almost every single category, GDP, investment, jobs, you can see how it helps pull the economy back from the edge.
So when you boil it all down, the plan has 3 huge potential benefits. First, it would slash the hit to the economy by nearly a third. Second, it would save over 14,000 jobs that would have otherwise disappeared. And third, and this is the long-term play, by investing in that infrastructure, it could actually create a $6 billion boost in productivity down the road. So it's not just a Band-Aid, it's an investment.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. Beyond all the numbers and specific policies, this whole situation really forces us to ask a much bigger, much more fundamental question about the future of global trade itself.
And this is where we come full circle. Check out this quote. It's from the exact same Ronald Reagan speech that was used in that ad campaign, the one that kicked this whole thing off. Back in 1987, he warned that high tariffs lead to retaliation, trade wars, collapsing markets, and millions of lost jobs. It's like he predicted this entire scenario step by step.
And that leaves us with the one big question that hangs over all of this. We've seen the economic pain on both sides of the border. We've seen how domestic industries get hurt by these knock-on effects, and it just highlights how deeply interconnected we all are. So in a world built on these global supply chains, is it even possible for anyone to truly win a trade war? That's the thought I want to leave you with.